Our next guest on the Any Given Runday podcast set up the Morning Milers Run Club along with our friends Pip and Sophie in Kuwait that Eric got to run with a few weeks ago. We'll find out how that really happened on this episode, hopefully. She started this run club with 9 people. Now they have runs, jogs, walks with over 80 people twice a week. Rebecca Jones, welcome to this week's episode of the Any Given Runday podcast. How are you getting on?
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. Good thing.
We were just saying before we recorded how Rebecca Jones sounds like a superstar name. It's like, it has to be like a singer. It has to be like, something amazing. What else do you do apart from running? What are you hiding? What do we not know?
Apart from running, I like to sing. Can I sing? No. Butcher that. I'll happily, I will survive. That is my go-to karaoke song.
Rebecca, we got to meet each other in Kuwait a couple of weeks ago, and it was hot, and we went playing GAA, which I hadn't done for 16 years, and then the next day you were going for a long run and you dragged me out with you. It wasn't a great morning, was it?
I thought it was perfect weather for it. You should be used to it being in Dubai.
I know, yeah.
Around it.
He moaned all the way through. This is shocking information right now that he pissed and moaned throughout a run. And he's always the podcast. It's so hot. It's so sweaty. It's just so humid and stuff. And then we have anyone that's ever ran in Dubai or anything else on the podcast like, yeah, no, it's grand. I bet if I had Rocket Fish on the podcast, he would have said, yeah, it was cool enough that day. But he comes on and just this dramatic production of just how difficult this run was. Piece of cake, huh?
It was for Rebecca, in fairness. She made it look easy.
She said we started in August and it was 42 degrees. And when we went on a run, it was like mid-30s, late 30s. So it was grand.
It is grand-ish at times. This morning in particular for me was not. But it was excellent. Rebecca, you are in Kuwait. That's where you're based. Have you always been running, or what was your sport of choice as you were growing up, and how did you get into it?
So, no, I've only been running for nearly 2 years. I started back in 2024 in January and was never really into sport, wasn't into anything. Did a bit like dancing, cheerleading, but never like massive endurance. Was never my thing. I was out with some friends in the Philippines and I saw a TikTok of some fitness influencer in America did a program of couch. So we all have couch to 5K. So she did couch Eras tour. And basically you run. It's a 20-week program to build up. So you run for the whole duration of the Eras tour, which ended up being 2 hours and 47 minutes.
So hold on a minute. This is Taylor Swift inspired endurance. I love it.
And that's it for this week's episode of the Any Given Runday podcast with myself and Rebecca.
Oh my God. So that is what? Talk about stardom to influence people to run the length of a show.
Yeah.
So 2 hours, 47 minutes.
Because I was going to that tour in the August and I saw it and I was like, I'll start that and then I can say that I've ran for the duration of this. And yeah, I started off and my first run was 2 kilometers and I hated every second of it. So you walked to the verse, you ran to the chorus, and you sprinted the break.
Seán hates this.
And you got longer and longer as like the program went on to then build up your long run. And you ran to the Eras tour every week. You'd add a song, the Eras tour every week.
Oh, that I have to say, no, that is incredibly ingenious marketing from whoever that fitness influencer was. Because talk about getting the masses involved. Because it was that Taylor Swift tour. I was even at one. I was at the concert in Dublin myself. It was fantastic. But it's even still, I will admit, on my easy runs, the old Taylor Swift playlist comes out. It's an easy beat to run with. I can't explain it.
Yes.
It actually is. Like, I honest to God can't explain now the abuse I'm going to get after this episode. But the beat to it is you can kind of just forget. You kind of forget you're even listening to music and running away. Did running make you hate Taylor Swift for a little while, or did you eventually begin to, at what point, obviously you ran the 2:47, it was fantastic, but at what point did it switch from influenced into, I actually really enjoy this?
Probably when I finished and that was over and I did it, and I was like, I can't believe I did that, because everyone, I was like, I had to have someone with me. So when my friends came and they joined me and they kind of kept me going, but it was hard to really like get into it. I think I tell everyone I still hate running, but I still do it anyway.
Yeah, I think most of us don't really, as you've seen in Kuwait on a Saturday morning. I wouldn't mind. There's not even alcohol. I wasn't even hungover, Sean. If I was hungover, I'd have an excuse. But I was nearly into the bush at 2K. It was disgraceful. So, Rebecca, when you started like, obviously we've mentioned a couple of names there getting involved, and the premise of this podcast is all about run clubs and what we're in. To only have started running in 2024, which was very new. At what point did you realize many people, like, did one person come at you this week, next week you had two, and all of a sudden you said, hold on, there's something here. What's the story behind a 2-year-old runner essentially into 500 people or so in a WhatsApp group for a run club?
So me and a group of friends all did a workout every Friday morning in a gym. And that was like our routine for 3 years. So before Gaelic, we'd go and do a CrossFit workout and go. But then when our friends started leaving and a lot of us stayed and we lost the gym that we were doing it in, we needed something else to do. And because a lot of us had started running, me, Pip and Sophie were like, well, why don't we start a run club? We can run at 8 till 9, same time that we used to do the workout, and then we'll go to Gaelic afterwards. And then from there, more people came, and it then went, oh, well, we'll have an Instagram page and we'll promote it on there, see if anyone else wants to join. And then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
How good is it to keep people involved? Because obviously, having been in Dubai and having been in Doha, I understand how transient a lot of these places can be, and people coming and people going. How important is it for people to have something so regular like a run club?
I think because things, especially in Kuwait, aren't promoted as well. Obviously it's all through like word of mouth, and it's very much it's who knows who, and oh, I'm going here, why don't you come with me? I think it can be quite lonely, especially people who aren't teachers, PTs, who the mass majority of us are. And then when people find out that there are other things to do, it definitely does bring community together.
Would you get people, is this mainly through DMs and stuff on Instagram or TikTok, people seeing your run club and stuff, and that's how you get members and build up from there?
Yeah, so our Instagram we kind of took off, and then we got messages, and then we then created a WhatsApp group, which then we hit maximum capacity. Who knew that a WhatsApp group could have maximum capacity?
I did not know that, no.
Oh my God. I'm going to give out Sean's mobile number at the end of this to see if we can max out capacity on his phone.
Yeah, so we had to then create another group chat and then create like a WhatsApp community, and then we started getting people reaching out from different gyms to come and like do collaborations with, to bring more fitness and more fun things to Kuwait.
And this run club, it's mainly social then, just bringing people together, going, because you talk about, like I said in the intro, runs, jogs, walks. It's just kind of, we're meeting up here, go at your own pace, and there's no real, like, we're training for like this marathon or this goal. It just happens to be whatever that weekend.
Yeah. So we always we run 8 till 9, and then we'll go for coffee afterwards. And then we kind of have that social interaction afterwards. We're not, people ask, how far are you running? Are you doing intervals? Are you doing a tempo? What are you doing for this run? We're very laid back. We're very easy. We just want to encourage people to come, walk, run, jog. We're not very strict on the run club, the run part.
It's a drinking club in Kuwait without the drink. It's with a running problem.
So to clarify for anyone, anytime ever think about it, 8 o'clock, they're not going to arrive up and you're going to go, today's the day, we're going to start at 8 o'clock and we're going to finish at 10:47. The entire Eras tour, whatever it's called, listen through, I'm going to do this today and you guys are all coming with me. That's not going to happen.
No. No, I don't think I do that.
I felt the effects having arrived in Kuwait for a weekend and having met such lovely people. And we did do a bit of training together. We all went for a coffee together. And then it was just the element of, I'm going running in the morning here. And I was like, well, we'll tag along. It might be 1 kilometer, might be a miserable 5 kilometers. And I think you did 9 or 10 that morning. And I don't know how, because it was hot. When you look at new faces coming to your club and you think back to those days of you being a first time runner, and obviously there's people who come down with a couple of goals as well. How do you maintain a mix between those who do want to just walk, run and have a social life and talk to people, and those who are possibly training for a little bit more?
So my long run is on a Sunday, and I will always put in the group chat, I'm running on a Sunday, my long run at this time, this pace, if anyone wants to join me. And people do join. And we also have people who on a Friday morning will say, I am doing intervals, I'm doing this if anyone wants to join me. So people are very like open, and we find that it's also like building that community as well. People are talking to each other and meeting new friends and meeting new faces and be like, oh, well, I want to join you. What pace are you running at? I'm going to try and beat my PB by joining you on this run. Even though we're very varied in the sense that we have loads of different abilities. So people are happy to support where needed.
How weird was it when, because we see it with the podcast, we spent years with just our moms listening, and then it was a moms, and then I'd download an episode, let my dog listen to it just so we get an extra listen. But years and years and years of trying and trying and trying. And we're at a stage now where people start to recognize the podcast. How weird was it for you to come up with an idea and now all of a sudden have people taking over? When the community takes over is a real satisfying feeling, because it's on autopilot now and you can just enjoy it a little bit more yourself. How cool was that experience from start to where it is now, of people, the community, I suppose, looking after itself?
I think none of us ever expected it to grow as big as it did, because we had like, brands reaching out. We had like Lululemon reach out. We had Intersport reach out. And me, Sophie, and we rang Pip because Pip left. I'm like, Pip, you've left and we've taken off. So she's now back in the bed. I'm like, well, this happened. And we rang her and we were like, we can't believe this happened. We can't believe that we started this as literally just a group of like 3 girls just trying to keep fit, and it's blown into something massive. Like we still haven't really grasped that we managed to kind of allow that to happen and allow that to grow, and given that the space to do so.
And Eric told me there was GA and stuff in Kuwait, and I'm like, sorry, what? Like I heard people go, teaching and stuff. It's Dubai always comes up. Australia might come up. I didn't hear much about Kuwait until Eric brought it up 4 weeks ago, and then you've got this big community there, and they're playing GA. Why Kuwait in the first place?
Well, I was looking for my rich husband with boat money, but that never happened. So the holidays, the weather. I love teaching, like that's my main job, but the teaching in the UK just...
Weather's not that great.
Nah, weather's shocking. I hate it. When the rain's more, I'm not running in the rain, so hats off to all of you who run in the rain, because if it's spitting here, I'm like, nope, no run for me. I wanted to be something a bit different, and I like the fact that Kuwait's not too far from home. Time difference isn't like it's great. It's only 2-3 hours, depending on which way the clock is. So it just fit me perfectly. And I had some friends here.
Rebecca, can you talk us a little about, because I know people get one side from me on the podcast, but in terms of the lifestyle, because people always go and they see so-and-so is in Dubai, so-and-so is in Kuwait. And what is it about the lifestyle element that attracted you to it and is still, I suppose, keeping you there?
I think Kuwait's very different from like Dubai, Qatar, Bahrain.
Completely.
There is no alcohol, there's no drinking. I think I'm the healthiest I've ever been, because if you don't get fit, you get fat in Kuwait because the food's too good. So
it is, Seán. I can verify.
I
was there for a weekend.
New things here.
Oh, you'll never go hungry in Kuwait. The food is 10/10. So
and as well as that, I suppose the work-life balance element.
I think back home when I was teaching at home, I was leaving the house at like 7, half 7. It was freezing cold, snowing, wet. And I was coming home at like 6 o'clock and it was dark. Leaving the house and it was dark, coming home and it was dark. I was like, don't want that. And I saw people teaching here and I was like, oh, I'll go for 2 years and I'll try it. and then get to work, finish at 3 o'clock, and I can get out. I'm out the door at 3. So that means I can fit in like my long runs, my time for run club, dedicate my time for that. So I knew that if I was in the UK, I would never be doing things like this. So it definitely has given me a lot more opportunities being out here.
Sounds like you're setting up shop there for quite a while in Kuwait.
Don't tell my mum that.
Too late.
One man has not listened to the podcast this week.
Yeah, they're like, when you're coming home, I'm like, oh, maybe 1 more year, inshallah.
How big, and I had some great conversations with you guys over there, particularly in the group, and on a similar premise about alcohol being removed from the equation. And we talked about it a little bit on the run. How big of a deal is it for the transition, I suppose, when people realize, but when they come from cultures like we do in Ireland and UK, it's very much part of the culture. And we mention it probably weekly on this podcast, like, after Rome, we go for a pint, or I could be hungover, or, there's always an element to that. And we always have a kind of conversation going, was it worth it? Was it actually worth it? The money we spent and how I feel. Now, there's been 1 or 2 days me and Seán will look at each other covered in cheesy chips and say, it was worth it. But 9 times out of 10, it wasn't. But when you go and you see the Dubai lifestyle where people are kind of partying, there's a little more, I suppose we will say that party brunch kind of atmosphere, and the groups and teachers and all getting together. Kuwait is very much the polar opposite. How big of a transition was that for you? And did an element of FOMO come in for you guys when you're looking at maybe things from home or things from other areas in the region? Or do you just eventually just become content with the new lifestyle that you've created?
Don't think I miss it. I think sometimes when you've had like a really rubbish day at work and you're like, really use a drink. That's small, fun, but can't have fun. I'll get over it. I don't feel like it was a massive transition because even though, yes, at home I would go out on a weekend with your friends, but here I think because you can't miss what you can't have, and you just get into the routine of just not having it, and then you go away to Dubai for a weekend, but it's only 2 hours on the flight, and you take it way too far and spend how much you would spend about 4 nights out in 1 night.
And then that's you sorted for another 6 months.
Me next weekend.
That's very good. To bring it back to the running then, when you are running with a group, obviously you've come through the Taylor Swift era's marathon, we'll call it. Training for your own long distance. Am I right in saying you're currently training for a big race?
Yeah, I'm doing the Gulf Bank full marathon on the 29th of November.
Is this going to be your first marathon?
First one and my only one. Never.
You can't say only one.
Everyone
says
can't
the
say it.
only
Don't
one.
do it. Don't lie to us.
Get out of that. Never say never.
The training is so boring.
Wait, you've got Taylor Swift.
No, you need new You need a new artist.
You need a new album. She
finally,
got a new album.
No, Taylor's too boring. Needs something up the intensity.
Oh no, the music just wrecks my head. I've been running to books. And
I know, right?
Not Taylor. Taylor. Put her on.
So how is the training going? I look, marathon training is not for everyone. In this podcast, I suppose we cover a lot of it, and everyone we've always interviewed, a couple of people definitely are saying this is my first and it will be my last. And I think if we had a euro for every time someone said that, we wouldn't be doing podcasts anymore. That's a fact. But how has the training gone? Have you been working with coaches? Do you get advice off people in the club, and how are you preparing yourself?
So I've been quite lucky in the fact that people in the club who have ran marathons previously, and they've been giving me loads of information. Like Fish it's given me loads of information. Then there's like some people who've been coming. The great thing about the run club is I've had people join me on my long runs. So I've had that kind of person there to just keep me up, like keep me going. As I say, oh, like what speed are you running at? And I'll tell them like, yeah, I'll pace you. I'll keep you going. And I'm like, that's what I need. Like I ran 26 on Monday, and one of the guys from Run Club ran the whole thing with me, even though he was only meant to do 10.
Oh, wow.
And all these people who are telling you about marathons, are they smiling while they're telling you about it?
Oh, yeah, they say you'll cross the finish line. It'll be the best feeling ever. I'm like, I think I'll be like in cardiac arrest by the time I cross that finish line.
Oh, Rebecca, I cannot wait to do the follow-up 10-minute snippet with you after you cross that finish line and see how your world has changed.
Oh,
It is a phenomenal one. In terms of resources for running, and it's one thing we've mentioned the weather, we've mentioned lifestyle, we've mentioned the removal of certain elements of that lifestyle as well. We ran in a beautiful park, and they use like the facilities for running really make you want to run. Isn't that
yeah.
right?
Yeah, like luckily they've like really put a lot of money into like the seaside front. So we ran from like the Kuwait towers, which are at the top of the Kuwait city, all the way down to Marina, which is about a 13, 14 kilometer stretch, which they've really like put in like tracks for like people to run, for bikes. They really have like put the money in to make that accessible, because Kuwait is obviously really, really small, and finding places to run, especially with a group of 80 people, is becoming quite challenging. So there is places for us to do that, and they have put in the effort and the money to kind of provide Kuwait with that.
And for those who don't know, it's 14 kilometers along a beachfront of sand, and you're looking at the Gulf as you're running along. And it's these tracks, they put in foam tracks, and they also put in harder tracks and cycle tracks. So if your knees are a bit itchy, you can run on the softer one. And well, if you're wearing the shoes we're running now, you don't necessarily need the track element, but it's phenomenal facilities that you kind of feel guilty if you're not using them. Isn't that right?
Yeah,
Was even a mall that they brought me to where there's a 400-meter running track on the 8th floor of the mall.
yeah. We
Huh?
ran we ran there last week for our Intersport collaboration.
When it gets to the height of summer, so there's this mall, like it's not a in terms of square footage, it's not a very big mall, but it has many floors. I think maybe 10 or 10 floors, let's say. But on the 9th floor, there's, in the shape of the mall, it's just a running track. It's about 10, maybe 12 meters wide, and you can just run around it. It's dedicated for running and walking indoors. It's absolutely amazing what they do to make running, particularly in the summertime, accessible.
Our first
Unreal.
our first run back after the summer was there, and we had about 52 people on that track, and it was a bit manic.
It
As a
is. And now, like some people would be going walking and stuff, licking ice creams, and then like people are people are like sprinting past them doing intervals. It was but like it's a real weird place, because when you look over the barrier or the glass, it's a glass wall, so there's
Yeah.
no like wall or anything. It's like in a shopping mall. It's just a glass barrier. And when you walk to the side, Sean, and look over, it's like, oh, that's 10 floors down, and
oh
it's
no, don't
it's
like that.
it's oh, but it's so cool.
It's not
It is.
okay.
Yeah, just don't look down. But it was a really cool thing for me to see in terms of that. And on the way down, then you've got KFC and all, which really incentivized me for going. So it was absolutely
Run
amazing.
fuel.
Rebecca, can we talk a little bit about the sponsors and people that you're working with? Because I see a lot that groups run clubs, they associate with coffee shops, then all of a sudden running brands are trying to get in touch. What does it take, I suppose, to manage? Because at the end of the day, they're looking for something in return. And you've mentioned a couple of names. What does it take to maintain the social output that they're looking for in terms of the numbers? And is it fun? Are there days you're like, this is hard work, I wish I was just going for a run? And what's required? Like, obviously, it's real excitement when a brand messages and goes, we want to sponsor you. We have 2 sponsors, and me and Sean had a little disco with ourselves when we got 2 sponsors. So how exciting was that element? And then how hard is it to maintain the relationship?
I think so we've had a few people reach out just to kind of say, we want to do a collaboration, we want to get your run club, we want to do things with you. What can you do? Like, what can you offer us? What can we do? Like, things like that. Obviously, we are a free community. That's what we pride ourselves
Yeah.
in. Obviously, we're not paying for anything. Like, we're not going to pay you. If you want us to pay you, our members won't come, because we're
Yeah.
free, we're social, we're easy going. And because of our sheer numbers, they like that anyway. The fact that we're bringing 80 people to Lululemon or to Intersport to do a run, and just to promote them and share it, and that kind of does get, like, they're quite happy for us to do that. Is there some days that I could throw my phone out of a window because the phone doesn't stop? especially when I'm at work. I'm like, I literally, when I finish, and I look at my phone, and I've got about 100 messages, and I'm like, what's going on? I mean, it's quite hard to balance the actual job with this.
The
I was
hobby.
saying to Joe, like, my actual job is getting in the way of our run club.
Funny, me and Seán could say the same about this old podcast.
Yes.
But it is something that's really cool and seeing growing, especially when some people maybe you have realized, or maybe people have approached you, it is a real mental outlet to see people, because a lot of times, and speaking from my own experience, and maybe you might be able to elaborate, you're very isolated because of the heat, because of people's work schedules, because of convenience. People don't necessarily have to leave their house for anything, and that's the way most of the countries out there are set up, is for convenience, unless you go to a mall or like this, go for a run club. How have you felt, and have you felt the response from people in terms of the outlet the run club gives them, and watching friendships and seeing how a run club can become in essence a coping mechanism and a social mechanism for people?
I think, especially in Kuwait, it's so easy just to stay with the people that you work with, because obviously where I work, we all live in the same building. So I see the same people, that I live with the same people, I work with them. So it can become very like isolated in that sense, that I wouldn't branch out, because I'm like, oh, I don't need to speak to anyone else. Everyone that I work with, I'm friends with. I go 2 floors down and see Neve and Meg. Like, it's not an issue for me to, like, I don't need to branch out. But I think sometimes, like, that's not healthy. I think when we did start this run club, and seeing how many people from different community, like different cultures, different ethnicities, different races, all come together and run together, it was actually a really nice thing to see, that we are not just specifically for expats, or we're not just for like British teachers. We can have like all jobs, everyone from all over, just to come and run together, which has been really nice. And it really helps when people speak Arabic, because when we get shouted at in the park, I know what they're saying. Sorry, my cat eating my laptop.
Rebecca, at the start of this podcast, you talked about having it was Eric complaining about his mid-30s run. You were saying it was like 42 degrees and stuff in August. Is there a time of the year, June, July, May, June, July, where you guys can't go outside and run, or are you guys starting really, really early in your runs?
No, we don't change the time, which people are like, can we make it earlier? And we're like, no, because we have to go. I'm not getting up any earlier. So we tend to, because we finish the start of June. So Run Club doesn't run for July to August, because most of us have left. People still do run, because people, like, we do have QATs or other nationalities that don't travel in summer, and they might run together but run really early in the morning. But no, we tend to either take it into a mall or really slowly. We were in the mall, at the mall, for the first 2 weeks, and then we did take it outside to try and brave the heat, and it was just a slow run.
Too hot.
Because silly behaviour running really fast in that heat.
Yeah, it can catch you out pretty quickly, and again, like it's a funny one. I don't know. Obviously, June, maybe you travel all the time, but when in Doha and in Dubai, June really hot. End of June, July, August, really humid.
Yeah.
So when you walk outside, you're saturated. But then May, September, and June, it's so hot that you're not even sweating. The sweat is evaporating off you so quickly that your t-shirt is dry. It's your heart rate is 170. It is bizarre, and that is a real danger, I suppose. And I know it is a free run club and a social run club, but you do have to kind of take care of people as well.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to, and we always say, like, go as much as you can do. Don't push it. You need to walk. There's no shame in walking. So I feel like sometimes when I first started, I was like, oh, I can't walk. It's such like I meant to be running. I shouldn't be walking. And it's really hard to get that out of your, like, it's really hard for me to get out of my head. That I'm like, oh, if I'm not running and I'm doing walk run, I'm kind of failing at it. I think that can need to get that out of my head. I think a lot of people kind of do feel the same. And I was like, no, just take your time. Be easy.
Seán was laughing at me. I did a walk in 10K one time Didn't even run. It was that hot. I couldn't even run. I was trying to keep my heart rate below 160, and even at a walk, it was at 155. And like that, your t-shirt is dry, which is if no one has ever felt that feeling, it is the most bizarre thing in the world. To come in from a run with your heart rate maximum and your t-shirt like it's after coming out of the dryer. It's warm. There's not a drop of sweat on you, and you're like, I'm goose.
And it just hits you. That's what it's like when you open the door. Like it reached 52 degrees. I think it reached in Kuwait in July, which is insane.
Would you even have bottled water with you, or is there any point in having water with you? Or
I mean, by the time you put it down, you've done your run, you're going to come back, and it's either evaporate.
Cup of tea.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, yeah,
you have to run pretty early, like 4 or 5 in the morning, and even then you're like 30, late 20s, 30s.
And the morning waters aren't getting up at 4 a.m.
It's one thing I got very good at naturally because of the realization that we were not sweating so quickly that you weren't even seeing the sweat, was drinking water during the day. And no matter how much I drank, 5 liters, 6 liters in the summer, it just never seemed, I was always just chasing or trying to stay one step ahead of dehydration. Are you noticing that as well as part of it, that, no matter how much you drink, especially when you're running and stuff, it's hard to stay on top of hydration. It's hard to stay on top of nutrition.
So I'm absolutely terrible when it comes to drinking water. I'm lucky if I drink a litre in about 2 days, which, I'm terrible. I drink a lot of coffee, a lot of Red Bull. That gets me through, but water...
Are they one of your sponsors? Are we going to get €1 million?
Well, Red Bull to sponsor me, or even Monster. Yeah, they could sponsor me. I'll love a white Monster. But my water intake is shocking. I do have like electrolytes that I try to counterbalance with the lack of water. But
is that something you're trying to fix in the build up to the marathon? Because obviously taking it on is going to play a vital role in completing your marathon.
I mean, it's something that I've been trying to work on for a very long time. It's not really. I need to. Every time I run, I'm like, I've got a bit of a headache. I really need to have a drink. And it's like, I'll just crack open another can.
I know. And to your credit, Rebecca, the country is built, and most of these countries are built that you don't actually go outside. So you actually spend most of your time at 19 degrees indoors, and in some cases putting on a jumper and long trousers because the buildings are so cold because the air conditioning is on. I was falling into that trap when I was on my off time and I was just in my apartment, and maybe we go to the mall, and I'd find I actually wasn't drinking. It was like I was in my home routine. Like in the winter in Ireland, you're kind of like, did I drink water today, or did I just have 4 cups of tea? I don't really know what happened unless I was training. Whereas you'd find that in that kind of environment, you don't have that same thirst until then you add in exercise, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, this is something I should have been focusing on today. But you don't, unless you're working in the heat a little bit, you don't necessarily appreciate it. Isn't that right?
Yeah, and I think being in the classroom, because I'm too busy trying to manage 28, 5 and 6-year-olds, that the water just goes out the window. And then when it comes to, I finished work, I've drank no water today, I'll have a bit of water, and then I'll be like, I got the gym now. Like, I had no water all day. It's like, not good. But that is something that I really need to work on, that and fueling, because my fueling getting better, but out here, finding any type of fuel for runs is a nightmare. It's either really expensive or you just can't get it. So do you have any tips for me on what I could fuel with?
We have 290 episodes where you can pick up all that advice. I'm not doing your homework for you, Rebecca. Get in there and look at them episodes. No, but it is quite difficult to find, and I know from looking myself and actually from bringing back suitcase loads of stuff then whenever I was home, just to try and keep stock for anything I did. Not that I was doing much running, but it looks great on the shelf. It looks fantastic. I'm actually selling it. If anyone wants to buy it, I can't bring it home.
Ship it this way, because we have none.
Yeah, we'll send it over.
Put it to good use there.
Rebecca, as a group then, a lot of groups will tend to have a goal or some kind of aim in order to keep people incentivized. Do you guys organize anything in terms of Couch to 5K, Couch to Taylor Swift, or is it, is there any kind of elements you do as a group that you kind of say, look, maybe when we get into December, into the winter time, obviously we know most of the events in the Middle East happen November, December, January, February. That's kind of the peak season, similar to a triathlon season in Ireland. It's summertime versus wintertime. Is there any kind of events that you guys would set your sights on as a group?
So a lot of us are doing the Gulf Bank, either the 5, 10, half and full. We have got a wide variety of members taking part, which is great. And then after that, we were looking at talking about starting having at Run Club, like having set paces, because people do want to improve. We didn't really want to like impede on people's like training sessions, if people are training for runs. They just say it is peak run time, because we have all the races back to back now from the 1st of November all the way through to December. So we're like, after that, when people's races are out the way, we can then start looking at maybe having like people pacing a group, so people can actually feel like, okay, well, I'm going to try and run with them tonight, so I can try and run a bit faster than I normally would, which we're hoping to maybe start in the new year.
Is there a pressure to that? Because you talk about like you started off at 9 people, and all of a sudden like you filled WhatsApp groups, which we didn't know was a thing, and it's like, what do we do to keep people? What's the next thing? And start chasing, because they're already talking there after the Gulf Bank Marathons, like, we need to find something else, find something else. Do you find sometimes that can get a bit overwhelming? Like, wait, hang on, this is actually just supposed to be a social thing.
I think when people come and ask me, and I do get a bit like overwhelmed, like, well, what do you do? What is your run club? And I'm like, well, we're a social group. Like, that's what we are. And it's like, but what are we running? What pace are we running? What distance? And it's completely up to you, because we do get that question a lot. And then they kind of trying to like wrap their head around that, especially the ones who are more like advanced runners, because we're not even an official run club. Can't even be an official run club. We're currently a run group, because we're not official.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it's important. Like, and I think we've tried to highlight the importance through what we've asked and what you're trying to say, and the importance of just getting people out to meet people. And I don't think it's just Kuwait. It's happening in Ireland. It's happening all over the world, where social running clubs, not athletics clubs as we would probably call it back home, social run clubs, where it's, listen, come on down off your old mat. We're leaving off Mary's Cafe at 7 every Thursday. And if you want to come, bring whatever, push a pram, walk. It's just, let's meet and have a chit chat and get to know people. And some would argue that's probably more important for a lot more people than athletics focused training would be.
And I would never, if someone said, I'm going to go to this run club and they're going to run at this pace and you have to keep up, I'd be mortified. They'd be like, right, well, I'll be at the back. And that's really, and I'm like, that's so embarrassed. Like, I'm going to be so embarrassed that people have to like slow down to keep with me. And I'd be like, no, I'd just be from the opposite. Because like, I don't want to put that pressure on myself to kind of like put myself in that embarrassing situation that could potentially be. So I think when you open it up to be like, you can do whatever you want, walk, run, jog, just take your time, come and enjoy it, have a social, have a chat. Because some people just want to come and have a chat. And I feel like people need that, especially in Kuwait where it is so isolated and it can be quite lonely.
Rebecca, has Pip gone back home now to set up a run club herself, or have you had people in Kuwait that's been like, okay, my time in Kuwait is up, I'm going back home, but how do you go about setting up a run club or asking you for advice on building this community you've built?
Pip texted me saying that I've started running with people from work. I've started my own run club. Oh, morning milers takes England. So I think it's very different at home, because you have your own group of friends. You don't tend to branch out because, I've got my friends here, I've got my work friends. I might go to the gym and have some gym friends, but I might not need to. There isn't really that much of a need for it, I feel, at home. I wouldn't think I've got my friends, I don't need to start a run club. But here, where you're coming out and you're on your own and you have to start again, you're like, hi, do you want to be my friend? It can be quite daunting to 20 to 30, like 20, 30, or however old. It can be really daunting. So I think when you do start something like this, and it takes that pressure off, which people do tend to enjoy.
It is definitely something I've seen from out there as well. And just to go back to a point you made a couple of minutes ago about the fear of embarrassment of joining athletics clubs, and that's a big issue everywhere. And it's the fear of the first, I suppose, the first impression, the fear of the first night. And I don't know anybody, and you're looking around, and then you see someone in alpha flies, and he's doing A skips and B skips, and you're like, what the hell? I'm eating a packet of skips, and you know, you're like, oh, well, one of these things doesn't belong. So how do you go about, I suppose, reassuring people, because people don't believe you? I've told lots of lies. Come on, it's just going to be an easy run, and it's not. How do you get the buy-in? And I think that's kind of what Seán was alluding to, is if we were to do this at home, and I know you said it's slightly different, but there is a lot of people at home that would love to give it a go, and they'd love to kind of be involved. What is your secret sauce to assure people you're not there to run them a marathon, and it's just to just come down and let's just have a conversation, and maybe we'll walk or run?
Mm-hmm. I think because me and Sophie, we won't run every run club. Sometimes I'm absolutely battered for my long runs. So I'm like, I'm just going to walk tonight. Or Sophie's like, I'm going to walk. And the walkers can walk with her. We've got people who do like walk run. So people say, oh, I'm going to walk run tonight. Let's join together. So it does take off that pressure. It's like, oh, okay, we're not going to run as like a pack and move together.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
once you've done your first one, the first one's all, and I said to all the people who come, your first one is always going to be the scariest one because you don't know what to expect. And then once you first got the way and you realise, oh, actually, that wasn't as scary. And because you're running around like Alshey Park, or you're running down by Green Island, and you're looking at all, like, you can look out on the beach and you can look around the park, and you don't feel like, oh, this is really intimidating, I need to run. And like, you can just kind of take your time and enjoy it. I think that was it for us. Like the first one, it's always the scariest. And then they got over that. And then they came back.
And then it starts time for marathons pretty soon.
Oh, well, a few people, someone said to us, run any, who hadn't been running since she came, never ran before she came. And she's like, I've signed up for the 5K. And I'm like, love that. Like, that's what we want to see. Like, and she's like, all delighted.
Ah, brilliant. Yeah, but that is it. And we always said, and we've had many guests agree with us over, I don't know how many years and how many episodes, but sometimes seeing someone achieve that 5K that was impossible is far better achievement than watching me and Seán drag ourselves around a marathon again. You know, like it's seeing someone take on the challenge and that fear, and to have people around them that you guys are doing. And you're very modest in how you're doing it. I have been there. So when you're saying things, you're like, oh, it's just okay. But I know how important you guys are in that community out there, and how important the running to people, the running community is to people, on many more levels than we probably touched on in this. But obviously those moments for people are being cherished really well. And is it really cool for you to see someone who was, let's last the 10-minute version of Taylor's song, and then seeing someone else doing their own 5K and signing up for a 5K? Is that really, like, I suppose, the pinnacle of having your own club, to see people achieving those kind of things?
Yeah, like we, like sometimes it's out like challenges, and like, oh, you just have to PB in your 5K, and like we'll put you into a raffle. And seeing all the people like say, like, well, I've PB'd and I've PB'd, and like they've like never ran before. I'm like, that's actually like amazing to see. And last year when we did the golf band, and people had like never ran a 5K, people never ran 10K, and they did it, and they were all like delighted at the end. And I was like Pip, because Pip was there at the time. It's like, we did this, we gave that. Like, oh, I'm so happy. Like, I'm so happy for them, but I was like, if we didn't start this, then people would never have done that. And I was like, goals, like a really big.
Yeah,
that's deadly.
And wait until you try and stop it, Rebecca. That's the hardest part. We tried to stop this podcast 4 years ago, and we got death threats. So you watch what happens.
I'll never leave Kuwait now. I'm stuck here. Never leave.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Don't tell your mom that you did this episode, and she'll never
Oh,
know.
I'm like, I've told everyone, like, you all have to listen to it because I'm on this podcast.
And if they feel like sending us €1 million as well, we'll take it. Rebecca, this is part of our mini run club series where we're getting a taste of some of the social run clubs around. And have you any last minute tips for people who are thinking about lacing up a pair of any shoes. It doesn't matter what shoes they have, and finding groups like yourself and finding people like yourself, be it expats abroad, and let's keep it there because that's where you are. Have you any tips for people or any last things you want to say to people about getting involved with the Morning Milers, getting involved with other groups, just not your competitors, in other countries, and what do you say to them?
So just do it. Your first one will always be the hardest one. Will always be the scariest one, but you'll find good people there.
Brilliant. Rebecca, absolutely best of luck with your marathon coming up at the end of the year. Best of luck with marathon 2, 3, and 4 you do afterwards.
2, 3, and 4 you'll do. Yeah, we'll see you
Say
there.
no now, Rebecca. We guarantee it.
Never again. Never again.
When you cross that line and you go, I'll do another one. You tell me where it is, and I'll run it with you just to laugh at you the first 42K. Laughing for the first 2, then I'll complain. Complain for the next 40. You'll get there. I'm telling you. Wait until you're gonna have a medal wall and everything. You watch this space.
I've got some up there.
Wait, you'll see. Me and Seán were there in 2017, and look at us now. Rebecca, thanks so much for giving us your time. Thanks for giving us a little taste of what it's like, because I couldn't be the only one that was talking about it. We had to get other people on who are doing fantastic things, and really making the most of their time and meeting people and making a difference in people's lives. And that's essentially what the Run Club is trying to achieve. A little bit of social, a little bit of coffee, walk, run, move, do whatever it is. And it's great to see that so many people are buying into it. And we wish you all the best. If any of your sponsors are listening, give us a call. We love getting sponsors too. No, but honestly, Rebecca, it's been fantastic having you on this week's special episode. And we wish you the best in the future. And hopefully we'll see you again for a run soon.
Definitely. Hopefully you'll be in Kuwait and you can come and join us. John, you can come and join anytime.
2 warm for me. That is it for this week's episode of the Any Given Runday podcast. And myself, Rebecca Jones, and Eric.
Yes.
Take care.